Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Monday, October 21st, 2019. Want to talk about the rigged world of sports. We're going to cover Monday Night Football, where the Patriots beat the Jets 33-0. Been following me for years. We've always talked about Monday Night Football and 33 rituals. Here's the latest. We'll talk about Sam Darnold, who was mic'd up. He said he was seeing ghosts. Talk about this. Also, I caught the first quarter of this game, and anyone who watched the first quarter saw and heard the same thing I did if they were paying attention. The announcer goes, "I'm scratching my head over that decision." And then the camera goes to Sam Darnold, who's sitting on the sideline, and he has a Jets hat on. And as soon as the announcer says, "I'm scratching my head over that decision," that's when the camera goes to Sam Darnold, and on cue, he takes off his hat and scratches his head. And then there's like a moment of silence with the announcers, and then it comes back to focused on the game, and they start talking again. I was like, I mean, come on. These dudes are puppets on strings. Stuff is choreographed. It's like the WWE, but worse. We're going to talk about the Zion Williamson injury. Out 6 to 8 weeks. And the riddle that's going on with this in the 74th NBA season. He just missed that game the other day, Zion. He was announced out for that game, and that's where the concern became about his knee. That was October 18th, the day leaving 74 days left in the year. Again, this is the 74th NBA season. Zion Williamson, 74. That game was against the Knicks. Remember, earlier this year, there was the earthquake in Zion's debut. He was facing the Knicks. He played in Madison Square Garden while he was with Duke his last season. They played Texas Tech in that game. Anyway, his teammate from Duke's on the New York Knicks. And don't forget that Summer League game that got interrupted with the earthquake, the team the Pelicans were playing, they finished the game with 74 points. And I was scratching my head about that. I was like, okay, how are they doing this? Anyway, we're going to talk more about that. We're going to go back and talk about the 1989 World Series earthquake, which was on October 17th, the day before the big Zion news. And then we're going to talk about how the World Series begins tomorrow between the Nationals and Astros on the anniversary of Sam Houston. Houston's in the World Series. Starts tomorrow on the anniversary of Sam Houston being inaugurated as the first president of the Republic of Texas. And again, if you're on Patreon, before the postseason began, we figured out through riddles that were done in the MLB season that paid tribute to George Herbert Walker Bush and his fraternity Skull and Bones. We were able to figure out that it was a great decision to put down a bet for a Nationals and Astros World Series, right before the postseason got underway, where the Nationals had the longest odds, and the Astros didn't, but the combination of the two, a good one. So, let's go over this. Let's start with Monday Night Football and the latest 33 ritual. If you've seen any of these videos I've done on Roig Sports, I've been talking about streaks of 8 and how great they've been in sports this year. Streaks of 8 in 2019 have been awesome because 19 is the 8th prime number. The Patriots completed the 4th streak of 8 riddle in NFL Week 7. There's been several over the course of the season. They've all hit, and they went on all throughout the baseball season too. 8 and 19. Tonight, the Patriots beat the Jets for the 8th straight time. Prior to this, NFL Week 7 began with Thursday Night Football. It began with a streak of 8. The Chiefs beat the Broncos for the 8th straight time. Sunday, the Redskins lost their 8th straight home game. And the Packers beat the Raiders for the 8th straight time. Streaks of 8. Been great all season. And there were a few other riddles in this game. This was the 119th game between these teams. The 119th regular season game. Not counting postseason games. 119th regular season game. 119, 911 in reverse. Remember, after NFL Week 3 when the Patriots beat the Jets, Brady had 911 passing yards for the entire season. And again, Tom Brady came to be the star right after 9/11 when Mo Lewis, the New York Jet. By the way, today's Mo Lewis's 50th birthday. Mo Lewis, the New York Jets, sacked Drew Bledsoe, number 11, injured him. Tom Brady came in, and the rest is history. 9/11, Patriot Act, Patriots, Dynasty. Today, Mo Lewis's 50th birthday. What are the odds? And Tom Brady's playing the Jets all these years later, having twice, the NFL life as any typical NFL player. If a QB makes it 10 years in the NFL, that's a long time. Tom Brady's done it for almost 20. Of course, it's been scripted for him the whole time. Hardly ever even been touched. But 33, perfect. Again, MNF with the alphabetic order is 33. New York with the reverse alphabetic order and rules numerology is 33. Massachusetts with the alphabetic order and rules numerology is 33. Sam Darnold, 33. Remember last year, Sam Darnold made his debut on Monday Night Football. His first pass was a 37-yard pick six. Pick six equals 37, so does Detroit. He was playing the Detroit Lions. And then he went on to torch the Lions. And if you go back to Monday Night Football, NFL Week 1 last season, when Sam Darnold made his debut, the winning scores that night were 33 and 48. Notice Monday Night Football, MNF with the alphabetic order 33, with the reverse alphabetic order 48. And notice these four ciphers: alphabetic order with the rules numerology, reverse alphabetic order with the rules numerology. Notice the values of MNF and Tom. Tom Brady got his 23rd away primetime win tonight. 23rd away primetime win of his career. Most players would be lucky to see 23 primetime games. He has 23 away wins on primetime. Anyway, 23 is the 9th prime number. Jets equals 9 in the most pure cipher. That's the full reduction cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules numerology. Jets is 9, and the Patriots won their 9th straight game in the regular season tonight over the Jets. Brady gets the 23rd away primetime game. 23rd, the prime nine. 23, the 9th prime number. And Sam Darnold, you guys, nobody is that bad. It's just like Sam Darnold's first NFL pass. He rolls out one direction and then throws a long ball across the entire field for a pick six. Nobody in the NFL is that bad. You learn in Pee Wee football not to do that. Guy's not going to do that in his NFL debut as one of the top picks in the draft. Just like tonight, he's not going to keep throwing floaters to the defense, just stupid throws to nowhere. It's a humiliation ritual. It's a script. And for the people who go, why would they do that? I can think of what are these guys' salaries now? Is it like 20? How much are they making? 20 million a year? Is it more than that? I can't even think. Here, let's look at what Sam Darnold's contract is. Sam Darnold contract. Let's see. The 4-year deal is worth $30.25 million. Some guys definitely make more, but 4 years, $30.25 million. That's over $7.5 million a year. Would you go out and humiliate yourself on primetime TV for $7.5 million a year? The average American, supposedly the stat is they make less than $50,000. The average American. I know some people make a lot less. I used to live with two parents that worked 7 days a week and made combined income of $20,000 a year. That was in the 80s and 90s, so it'd be worth more now, but still. Hold on. Let's see what $7.5 million. Do I got enough zeros? Yep, that's $7.5 million divided by 50,000 is. So typical person's salary. So that's like 150 of the typical person's salary. And that's actually better than the average person does. So he makes, 150. And all he has to do is, go out 16 times in the year and in some of those games humiliate himself. Because somebody's been saying, Sam, don't worry about it. It's the United States of Amnesia. They're not going to remember that game next season when we have you balling out. It's not always that way for everybody, but, follow the script. We'll take care of you. So anyway, NFL, just tonight's game is just such a joke. And it's always a joke when you watch the Patriots play. It's just like, how don't people see this? 9-11, Patriot Act, Patriots. All of a sudden, nobody can get to the Patriots quarterback. Just the greatest offensive line. All of a sudden, nobody knows how to play defense against the Patriots. Let's just always play with a big cushion. So Tom Brady, he has all day in the pocket and no defender within. Tom Brady can't put the ball on the spot. Don't get me wrong. But, his guys are just always wide open. And he always has all day. It's a joke. But, anyway, 33 again and again. And then this Sam Darnold seeing ghost thing. I'm going to have to think about this more, but there's a reason that they put this stuff out there. I mean, this guy's probably, trying to be the next Howie Long, star in a few movies, end up calling games when he's done with his career. Anyway, don't you see how the whole circus is maintained? You got the same small group of, fraternity of athletes legitimizing bullshit. Anyway, that phrase seeing ghost, which all the media emphasized after the head-scratching comment, it has this gematria that stands out, 147.57. These are Freemason's Scottish Rite numbers. American football is credited to the Scottish Rite Freemason Walter Camp. Scottish Rite's 147. Scottish Rite's 57, Freemason's 147. So is conspiracy. And again, you had Sam Darnold sitting out with mono, which was a big joke by the numbers. It was all part of the setting up the ritual of Tom Brady facing the Washington State rookie quarterback who was the 199th pick, like Brady was the 199th pick, like how Drew Bledsoe went to Washington State, like how it's the 100th year of Washington State football and it's the 100th year of the NFL. Anyway, they've been doing all these rituals, the fake mono story, New York Jets, New York City, big number, Mets and New York Mets. Pay attention to 57 riddles in their games. An opposing pitcher comes in 4-7 against the Mets, expect him to improve to 5-7. He comes in 5-6, expect him to fall to 5-7. These type of things. Team can pick up their 57th win against the Mets on a 57 date numerology, foregone conclusion. These things happen every season. So, anyway, there's probably some greater riddle here. I'm going to have to study more of the history of these sports teams, but the World Series starts tomorrow. So, anyway, let's talk about the Zion Williamson injury now, out 6 to 8 weeks. They're saying he's out with a torn right meniscus, which equals 101 like New Orleans Pelicans, right? Right injury for the team. 101 is the 26th prime number. If you read my book, the opening chapter is about the significance of 26, why there's 26 letters in the English alphabet. And when you think basketball, you think Jordan. Zion Williamson this summer signed to Jordan. And, of course, once upon a time, the NBA was scripted around Jordan. Let me see. I got a dude calling in. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Is it okay to talk live or no?
Yeah, what's going on? What are you talking about?
Oh, cool. So I sent you an article from ESPN, and there was two things that were interesting. The one is that's on the bottom is that they said Brady is he should attempt complete 27 out of 41 attempts for tonight's game. So I'm curious what the number of days is from today to the Super Bowl.
104.
He's going for 27 Super Bowls, and 41 is the Super Bowl number.
Right, Super Bowl's 41. We've been talking about 27 all year. The next AFC Super Bowl win is number 27. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that definitely stands out.
So I'm wondering from today's game into the Super Bowl if we got anything there. That's the first one. And then the second one is during that same article that I sent you, it says adjusted. I'm going to tell you exactly what it says word for word.
Okay.
It says the Patriots operated a run-first offense in 2018, but are the game scripted adjusted number 2 pass heaviest offense so far this season. They give it to us right there. They adjust the game. They adjust the plays during the game. It's scripted.
Yeah. They got to hit their numbers.
Yeah, right then and there. It's so crazy. And then my other thought is about the fire. There's another LA fire. We all remember the Dodgers.
Right.
They lost, and then 70 fire for Astros.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, again, here we go. They're going to lose.
Who's going to lose?
The Astros.
Because they beat the Dodgers?
Yeah, because 70 is
Astros equals 70, right?
I remember. I don't remember exactly what you said.
Astros.
70 was Astros.
Astros.
Fire.
Astros.
So
Astros equals 70 like fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how I'm reading it is just like the Dodgers lost. Now the Astros are going to lose due to the fire as well. And something to pay attention to is you like the Lakers as I do as well for the 3-peat. this could be symbolic also for the Lakers getting there at least.
Right before the NBA season starts.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all ritual, man.
Yeah, I wanted to share that, and I didn't know if it was too late, but I figured I'd try.
All right, appreciate it.
You got it, Zach.
All right, thanks, man. Yeah, Astros and New York Yankees both equal 70. Yankees won that first game of that series 7-0. Not by accident. Gleyber Torres was the star. His name's 70. Anyway. So Zion Williamson, getting to this whole injury riddle here. By the way, the name Bryant's 26 in the same cipher. Kobe Bryant, who had a very similar career to Michael Jordan. Game is 26. God's 26. Ball game's 26. Very special number 26. But it was this game where Zion was supposed to face the New York Knicks in the preseason on October 18th. You had the death of the Oracle CEO on that day. Again, the Warriors used to play in Oracle in Oakland, California. Oakland, California's 74. Let me take this call. Caller?
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got the wrong number.
Okay. No problem. He's probably waiting for like some female's voice. Like, wait, what? Anyway. October 18th, 74 days left in the year. This is the 74th NBA season. Zion Williamson, 74. A game against the New York Knicks, 74. Again, Zion had a game with Duke by the numbers in Madison Square Garden where the Knicks play. If you followed us on Patreon last year, we predicted, like in the second month of the season, that the Knicks would finish with 17 wins. I thought the Knicks were going to end up with Zion, and I said if the Knicks finish with 17 wins, that'll be the sign they're going to get him because Zion equals 17, so does NBA. And when the Knicks got those 17 wins and finished the season like we thought, because they early in the season, Duke beat Texas Tech there by the numbers. It was all big ritual. And anyway, his teammate ends up going there who did play at Duke. But I think Zion Williamson is going to end up as a New York Knick eventually. Maybe after his maybe he has like an injury-plagued early part of his career. They save him fresh for when he goes to light up Madison Square Garden because it just seems like they got to bring life back to New York Knicks basketball. It used to be the city, but I guess they're saving it for a certain period of time. I think Zion will eventually end up there. Might end up even being teammates with his Duke teammate up there right now. So anyway, there's a reason they keep doing rituals with Zion and the Knicks. And again, that earthquake that suspended the Summer League game was New Orleans versus the Knicks as well. Or I believe it was. I'm going to go back and double check that. But I know that the team that lost the game due to the early suspension by the earthquake, they finished the game with 74 points, which was the wild part. Again, just using the alphabetic order. English, Gematria, Masonic, Occult, Jewish, Energy, it's all 74. You had the 7-4 earthquake, and then you had the one the next day that interrupted the Zion Williamson debut. And they said that one was a 7.1, and Zion Williamson, the sweepstakes, was May 14th, the 71st birthday of Zionist Israel. And the NBA is run by Zionists, Silver and Stern, both Zionists. The team he's on, instead of the Knicks, New Orleans Pelicans, is 79, like Zion Williamson. 79 is the 22nd prime number. Basketball equals 22. Zion, born July 6th, the 187th day of the year. The name Zion Williamson is also 187, like born on the 187th day of the year. It's a date with 33 numerology. 7 plus 6 plus 20 plus 0. 33. And here was the Knicks record last year, 17-65. At the end of the game, they had to win two. At the end of the season, they had to win 2 of their last 3 games, and we got them all right how they'd finished the last 3 games because we were banking on them finished on 17 wins. Ah, man, the NBA. They couldn't have scripted it any better. And this news is Zion being out 6 to 8 weeks with this meniscus problem. In basketball, 68. It comes out October 21st, right? The day before the NBA season begins. And check this out. From his birthday, July 6th, to October 21st, it's 107 days, right? 107. Key digits, 1-7. Zion 17, NBA 17. NBA is easy to do in your head. N's the 14th letter, B's the second, A's the first. 14 plus 2 plus 1, 17. That's why the Celtics lead with 17 championships. Caller?
Hey, Zach, you got to check out this article, man. It's about the Patriots game tonight.
What's it say?
It says it's connecting the New England Patriots to the 1920 Bills and the 42 Bears, I think.
Yeah, I saw that, and it made me think about how they were the Buffalo Bills team, and it just made me think about how Bills equals 54, like it's the year of Super Bowl 54. It also makes me think about how the Buffalo hockey team is off to a really great start. So,
did you see the 1920 season? Those Bills had a 9-1-1 record.
Is that right?
Yeah, and then you saw the 175 point differential that the Patriots beat them with, 223 to 48.
175 was one of the flights that hit the World Trade Centers that looked like Big 11s, like out of days Mo Lewis's birthday, the New York Jet, who hit number 11 Drew Bledsoe.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah, man. Flight 175 and Flight 11. And Drew Bledsoe was number 11. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
All
right, appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't do the research that they had a 9-1-1 season, but I did see them. I was busy at the moment, but I saw the screen they were talking about. And I was like, man, I need a screenshot. I can't. At my old house when I lived in Seattle, the cable box, you could pause the cable and take pictures. I used to take advantage of that all the time. Now I don't have that. So now if I don't have like my phone in my hand, which I usually don't, it's like, shit, how am I going to get that? But yeah, I saw what he was talking about. So anyway, from Zion's birthday to this announcement, it's 107 days, right? 1-7. But remember, this earthquake thing. His first game got interrupted with an earthquake and by the perfect numbers and against the perfect opponent. And with regards to earthquake in 107, if anybody out there is just like gaffing, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this, hold on 5 more seconds. Let's go back to the 1989 World Series earthquake, October 17th, the day before the Zion announcement. And let's not forget that on August 11th, 2019, they commemorated the World Series earthquake game and team. They did that with the Phillies in town, Philadelphia, in the Bay Area, that sports connection, the Warriors from Philly, the Athletics from Philly, John Gruden from Philly used to coach there. Anyway, the World Series earthquake, October 17, 1989, the last thing shown on TV before it went to fuzz was Jose Canseco, number 33. They were showing the replay of the game from the night earlier. They showed him crossing home plate, pumping his fist, and then the TV cuts to fuzz. Earthquake. So Jose Canseco's birthday was July 2nd. From his birthday to October 17th was 107 days, right? His full name, Jose Canseco Campas Jr.'s 107, like earthquake. Ring of Fire's 107, Military's 107, the epicenter of the earthquakes in Southern California, July 4th and the day after, were on a military base. Again, the U.S. government for about 50 years detonated bombs underground for testing purposes. For what testing purposes? So, and about them commemorating the World Series earthquake team on August 11th, that's the 223rd day of the year. Natural disasters 223, so is Philadelphia. In the Bible, there's a letter written to the Church of Philadelphia about the synagogue of Satan, the false Jews who are liars. Zion Williamson. Coming back to Zion Williamson, the Zion Williamson sweepstakes were May 14th. May 14th. And I was like, God, the people who control the mainstream, they know that the masses don't know anything about history. Because they mock the people of this world every single day for anyone who knows a little bit about anything, man. Like, Zion Williamson sweepstakes, May 14th. ESPN did a segment with like Jewish rabbis praying for him in New York. Israel, Zion, the Zionist nation, was established May 14th, 1948, 71 years before the Zion Williamson sweepstakes. A 7.1 magnitude earthquake the day of his NBA debut. 7.1. And his team is going to play the Toronto Raptors. He's going to sit out that game because of his supposed torn meniscus. Toronto Raptors 71. And understand, the reason they do this with players, have them fake injuries and whatnot, is because they have their whole careers mapped out. They have a planned main script. And sometimes those might get screwed up because real injuries do happen. People's bodies wear out. But you realize when you pay attention game after game how they make everything line up, and you're like, oh, if they didn't miss that block of time, they wouldn't have been able to line up this ritual. Caller?
Hello, Zach. I was going to ask, is it all right if we change topics for 2 minutes? I know that this video is really about the NBA.
What's the topic about?
Or live stream. Well, you were just talking about earthquakes and stuff. I was just, going to wonder what you thought about November 8th upcoming. And, I've seen a lot of comments about it. And I just, I kind of decided to make my own observations. But what did you feel about it?
Well, it's possible. They've been coding 118 into all sorts of epidemics and tragedies. August 11th, there were several major natural disasters in the world that day. Major forest fires, tsunami wave, earthquake. So, yeah, I would...
Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. One of the observations I made is about the Gilroy Garlic Festival. You know what happened in California.
Right.
But it happened on July 28th, and from then to November 8th is 104 days with the end date. Gilroy Garlic Festival is 104. And 104 days is also 3 months and 12 days. And satanic gematria, garlic is 312, which is a fault line that intersects the San Andreas Fault in California. And, think about it. Garlic, garlock, that's really, really close. And, they like doing wordplay and stuff like that. But also check this out. November 8th is the 312th day of the year. So it's a bunch of 312s there, right?
Right.
And in Sumerian, big one is 312.
What is 312?
Big one.
Oh, big one.
Sumerian.
Right, and that's what Warren Buffett predicted this year on February 23rd, the big one.
Yes, and you know what about that, right? From February 23rd to November 8th is 259 days, right? Well, in ordinal, February 23 is 259.
Huh, that's weird. Interesting. It's possible. Last year on November 8th, you had the terrible fires in California, and Paradise, California equals 118. Los Angeles, California equals 118. It's on the 118th meridian. So that would be another reason for LA on 118. So it's possible.
Yeah, exactly. And, whenever I'm telling people about this study, I mention things like that. And I'm like, do you really think it's a coincidence? There's no way. But also, Time.com made an article about the garlic fault, right? And they made sure to include the fact that the fault runs 185 miles east to west. And it goes from the San Andreas Fault to Death Valley, right? But anyway, 185 miles. Secret Society is 185. And 11.8 is 185 on the same cipher.
So is mathematics and Solomon's Temple and a few other important things. So, yeah?
Yeah, true. And one more point, and then, sorry, I'll go. But from the start of Trump's 2020 campaign to November 8th was 143 days, right? And, of course, November 8th is the 53rd. It's the day leaving 53 days remaining. But simple count is 143 and 53, and fault line is 143 and 53.
Earthquake, if you use the master numerology of K, is also 53. So, yeah, November 8th would be a good day to look out for. So. Yeah.
Oh, all right. But, all right, have a good night.
All right, take care, man. See you. Yeah, and for people who don't understand, like Zion Williamson, when he was born, he was named accordingly. His life was planned. I mean, I think some of these dudes literally are test tube babies. They are going to have a predetermined set of genetics. They're going to be 6.5 feet tall. They're going to have this type of muscle. You know what I mean? You get the super athlete, evolved. So there's just too many examples, but Zion might be the best yet today. And this whole sweepstakes on the Zionist birthday, I mean, It's just something else. So let's see. Did we cover everything? Oh, we got to talk about Sam Houston becoming the first president of the Republic of Texas on October 22nd, 1836. Houston, Sam Houston, the Houston Astros, going to be in the World Series, which begins October 22nd, 2019. Again, this World Series is dedicated to George Herbert Walker Bush. We know that because all year we tracked the riddles with his death, the Astros, the Rangers, and then at the end of the season, just before the postseason began, with the Nationals. And again, you'd never pick up on these things without this knowledge, but knowledge pays. And, just to tell you, this year I had a tough time figuring out what the World Series is going to be. Before the season began, I told people I thought a good long shot bet was the Seattle Mariners. And when they got off to the league's best start, everyone was like, wow, this long shot. One guy put $50 on him at 500 to 1. So they took off like a rocket, but then they fizzled out. And part of the riddle was that I thought this year there would be a team in the World Series for the first time. For the Mariners, it was their 43rd season. Mariners equals 43, and Seattle's the only city that equals 19, like 2019 season. Nationals were another team that I've been looking at in recent years, and this is their first trip to the World Series. So there's only so many teams that haven't been. Nationals just made the group all that much smaller. But anyway, so at the beginning of the season, I told people Mariners were a good small future bet. So don't put a lot on them because they're a real long shot, but they got a riddle. They came out hot, but then they fizzled out fast. We were trying to find World Series team. We started to recognize that they did a lot of riddles syncing up the Yankees with the start date of the World Series. So we thought Yankees. We figured out by the All-Star break that the ALCS would be the Yankees and the Astros. So that was a future that we got right. To take that for your ALCS, Yankees and Astros. And not that that was like a hard pick to see. They were two dominant teams in the first half, but the way they synced it up through the numbers, it was perfect. When they met in the ALCS, it was 111 days after they had last played in the regular season, or a span of 112 days. New York equals 111, Houston equals 112. And anyway, it took looking for the National League World Series team this year was tough. St. Louis was the only city that equaled 115. They lost in the NLCS. They synced up the story of the New York blackout with the Dodgers and Yankees in the World Series. So anyway, throughout the year, there was like 5 futures that I thought were worth a shot. And none of those panned out. But at the end, we caught the Astros-Nationals World Series just before the postseason began when the odds were about 15 to 1. So even though I had my worst year and it took me the longest it's ever taken me to figure out who was going to be in the World Series, because of this knowledge, just let's say you'd made $100 on those first 5 bets, right? And you missed, so you lost $500 on your futures. Well, you didn't miss on the Astros-Yankees, so you actually hit on one of those. So let's say you lost $400 out of those $100 bets. By hitting on the Astros-Nationals World Series when the odds were 15 to 1, you made $1,500 off your $100. So you covered your $400 in losses, and now you're up, Well, I guess since you would have won on one of the futures, you would have actually only been down $300. So for the season, you'd be up $1,200, you see? So even though it's a rough year and you suffered some bumps and bruises, if you just stayed consistent, you eventually covered your losses. And then also the other thing is throughout the MLB season, wasn't the greatest season, but we definitely won a lot more than we lost. So you won throughout the regular season, plus your future bets you hit on, plus we nailed the home run derby and a few other things in a big way. So, all in all, tough baseball season, but a winning season. And winning's the name of the game. But there's a lot of people talking shit about my Seattle Mariners future, which again I told people was a long shot. And then they're talking shit about the Yankees not making it. But again, if you took my advice, you came out ahead. That's why people who call in every day on the Patreon, they thank me and say how much they're up and how grateful they are for the knowledge. For people who are addicted to gambling, I'm helping them turn their addiction into a positive rather than, an addiction that also brings down your morale because you're losing almost every day like most gamblers do. So, again, I don't think gambling's a great thing, but hey, if you're going to do it, you better use this knowledge. And here's the trip about Sam Houston. This is the kind of stuff that just blows your mind every year. It's just like earlier this year when we pointed out how the Jacksonville game was synced up with the death of Andrew Jackson. And what was on the anniversary? It was on the anniversary of something with Andrew Jackson too. But check this out. Sam Houston, born March 2nd, 1793, dead July 26th, 1863. That means he died at age 70. Like Astros is 70, right? But look at this. From his birthday to the start of the World Series against the Washington Nationals is 235 days, right? Washington Nationals, 235, okay? And then from the day that he was born to the day that he died, March 2nd to July 26th, that was 147 days. Again, World Series is 147, so is Freemason, so is Conspiracy. We talked about this earlier, how they coded it into the Sam Darnold I'm seeing ghost thing. He died July 26, 1863, which was a date with 2 connections in numerology to 33. Nationals, Masonry, Secrecy, Police, Federal Order, 33, etc. And the Washington Nationals, who are hosting the World Series, they haven't had a baseball championship there since the days of the Washington Senators, who are now the Minnesota Twins, and that was in 1933. Nationals bring the first baseball championship since 1933. And in light of the Washington Senators now being the Minnesota Twins, think about how they lost to the Yankees in the opening round, New York's 33, to add to this 33 ritual, while you have these teams for this year. And July 26th, the day he died, it was the day leaving 158 days left in the year. Freemasonry's 158. I feel like... Oh yeah, the World Series also begins 88 days after his death anniversary. George Washington's 88, like how they're facing the team from Washington, D.C., named after George Washington. But you just got to say, what are the odds? Just even without gematria, you'd be like, that's strange. The day Sam Houston was inaugurated as president, it's the same day the Houston Astros are starting in the World Series. And again, you just had the death of that 52-year-old umpire. Let me show you this real quick. Eric Cooper, MLB umpire, just dropped dead at age 52. Minnesota equals 52. He just umped the Minnesota series. Again, they're the old Washington team, the Washington Senators. But Cooper's 72, like Major League Baseball. Died on the day leaving 72 days left in the year. That was the 293rd day of the year, which is the 62nd prime. Sacrifice equals 62, so does Eric Cooper. If the World Series went to Game 7, it would be on the day leaving 62 days left in the year. Eric Cooper, he is from Iowa, just like the manager of the Houston Texans, A.J. Hinch. Houston, Texas is 62. And his full name, Eric Richard Cooper, is 105 like Nationals. If Nationals win the World Series, they'll have 105 wins. Umpires 82 like Washington Nationals. The Nationals are 8-2 in this year's postseason. Eric Cooper's 107 like Washington Nationals, like Ritual Sacrifice. If you go back through this year's games and see how many pitchers became 10-7 against the Nationals, you'll laugh your ass off. Unstoppable pattern this year at MLB. Every time we saw a pitcher that could become 10-7, win or lose, it's like, okay, I know what side I'm picking tonight, man. Yeah. This is crazy how they do this, man. When you have this knowledge, it'll just blow your mind just watching sports and what goes on day after day. You will be grinning ear to ear. And hopefully you'll be finding new ways to pay for the grocery bills. Speaking of which, tonight in hockey, 4 for 4 with the picks. We've been doing great with hockey. A lot of people say you can't rig hockey. Wrong. It's all scripted the same way. It's all Freemasonry across the board. Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. But... here's what we saw tonight. The tightest game was the Blue Jackets upset, but I liked it. I thought they were a good value. There were plenty of things that lined up here, but this was my favorite thing. If Toronto lost in regulation, they ended up losing in overtime, so it didn't quite work out. But had they lost in regulation, they would have been 5-4-1, like 541 the 100th prime, and the name of their arena, Scotiabank Arena's 100. A lot of times there are tributes paid to arena numbers, and just from understanding that, it still got you on the right side of the riddle. The Maple Leafs also fell to 5-4. Maple Leafs equals 54. Blue Jackets improved to 4-3 on a 43-date numerology in Toronto, Ontario, on the 43rd parallel, where Toronto, Owens 43. So, anyhow, good upset. For those of you who don't understand gambling, if you would have bet 100 on the Blue Jackets, it would have paid you about $190. You had to bet 190 on Toronto to win 100. Most people tonight would have bet Toronto because they're just thinking, okay, Maple Leafs look great, Blue Jackets not so much. But again, the numbers tell a different story. Golden Knights and Flyers. Golden Knights equals 64. Golden Knights in here. You know what? Some people might be like, how do I know it equals that? You have to go to this website. Well, you can actually learn to do this in your head like I once did. But Maple Leafs, 54, like how they fall to... well, they didn't quite fall to 5-4 tonight because they lost in overtime. They fell to 5-3-2, but still, they could do it in their next game. So, notice how Maple Leafs is also 36, like Toronto. Another big number with the Maple Leafs in the city of Toronto. 36 has a square root of 6. Drake calls Toronto the 6th. They won it in Game 6 in the NBA Finals on June 13th. 13's the 6th prime. We the North 136, just a crossover to Toronto basketball. That was the Raptors' 24th season. Canada equals 24. The numerology of 24-6. There were a record 6 Canadians taken in the NBA draft after Toronto became the first Canada team to win the NBA Finals. But anyway, Golden Knights, they fall to 6-4 tonight. I guess I should keep it up here. Golden Knights. 6-4, right? And then notice Flyers. Flyers is 31-32. So the Golden Knights fell to 6-4 tonight. They lost 2-6. Philadelphia's 101 the 26th prime. But Vegas fell to 3-2 away by losing. Flyers 32, and Philadelphia became 3-1 at home. Flyers 31. Again, this is why sports is the best way to actually show the relevance of gematria to people, because you can see how these ciphers are used every single night in rigged sports games, and how the same numbers show up in the box scores and the final scores. Again, you get this 2-6 score. Philadelphia's 101, the 26th prime. Like how we called Philadelphia to start 10-1 in 2017 and meet the Patriots in the Super Bowl after week 3. Here was all about the flag. Flag's 26. The flag was sewn in Philadelphia at 239 Arch Street. 239 is the 52nd prime. Super Bowl 52, Philadelphia wins in Minnesota. Minnesota 52. This Blues and Avalanche game, the reason the Blues look like the team tonight here is because if they won, they were going to get their 11th points of the season. They came in with 9 points. If you get a win, you get 2 points. Avalanche equals 31, the 11th prime. And if the Blues won, it would set up the opportunity for them to pick up their 13th points against LA. LA's 13. See? Also, if the Avalanche lost, they were going to fall to 3-1-1, and they did lose. They were going to fall to 3-1-1 away, like 3-11, the 64th prime, and they'll face the Golden Knights next. Again, Golden Knights 64, like how they fell to 6-4 tonight. And if you pay attention across the league, you start to see how these patterns line up and how the teams meet with these mathematical relationships and records. Caller?
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
What's up, man?
I'm actually glad you're live because I had a question for you, and I'm on my way to Atlantic City now, so I kind of wanted to get it to you before tomorrow. But correlation to the Super Bowl, Zach, what game do you think lines up kind of good for the World Series to end?
Well, like I was just saying, that umpire who just died, who has that major connection to both teams, his name is 62, and Game 7 is the day that leaves 62 days left in the year. And remember how this season began with the ritual with the Seattle Mariners in Japan and Ichiro's retirement? Ichiro's 62, Seattle Mariners is 62. So all of that could have been pointing to the fact that the season will end on the day leaving 62 days left in the year.
So Game 7, that would be how many days to the Super Bowl? Hold on, I think I have that. That would be 96 days counting to the Super Bowl.
96.
If you include the date.
96, huh? Or is it a span of 97 days too?
I think it would be a span of 96, so it would be 95 in the span of 96.
Okay. I got to think about that. I'm not sure off the top of my head. The only 95 city I can think about in the NFL is Baltimore, but I don't know about that. I have to look.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to see because
Well, you know what? Now that I say that, though, I'm like, well, wait a minute, man. Washington, D.C., Baltimore. They're not even that far apart. Maybe we got to think about that some more.
And but so a sweep, is that out of the question?
Who? A sweep?
A sweep?
I don't think it'd be a sweep. I think it would either be 4-1 or 4-3. Because, again, it's been all about HW, number 41, but he also went to Yale, 43. So, I think...
Okay, because the only reason I was saying that just because of the 100 days to the Super Bowl.
Okay. All right.
That was really it.
All right.
But, all right.
All right, appreciate
Thank
it,
you,
man. All right, see you. Okay, and then the last game tonight in hockey. This one was the smallest payout. This one you had to bet 210 to win 100, but if you parlayed it with the other games, so like if you took all 4 games tonight, I mean, that's an awesome parlay to hit 4 teams. But notice the Senators fell to 1-6 in the win and loss column. Today has 16 date numerology. The Senators also stayed on 16 wins all time against the Stars. The Stars got their 50th points all time in the series on the 50 date numerology. The Stars became 3-7 for the season in the win-loss column, and they got their 7th points. And again, this is how these ciphers are so important. 17's the 7th prime number, so they got their 7th points of the season against Ottawa, and then they got to 3-7 in the win and loss column. Again, you know, for people like Derek Bros, who call themselves journalists and investigative reporters and then make fun of this research and just say, I'm just picking and choosing from whatever cipher, realize these people aren't, they can call themselves whatever they want, but they're not good at research. They don't have enough intelligence to see the obvious. You know, anyone who comes across my work and makes fun of it and dismisses it is a fool. They have no idea, you know, how well documented this is, how consistent this is, how lucrative this is. So, anyway, there's a gentleman who keeps calling from North Dakota. He keeps betting $10 a night on hockey, and he keeps hitting on parlays that land for over $100. You know what? You work all day. I'm not saying gambling's a good thing, but if you want to have some fun in the evening, $10 at a pop. With this knowledge, you can hit parlays that, yes, do multiply into over $100. And you can do it somewhat frequently. You know, just showed you screenshots a couple weeks ago. Guys that bet $25 and made over $2,500. There's a guy here last year on college basketball. We dominated a single day with a $1 bet. He made $200. Imagine if you bet more than $1. You know, $10 on that would have been 10 times as much. You know. So. Anyway, pro sports are a joke. They're a mockery of the people. They're all rigged. NHL, NBA, MLB, NFL. The Zebras are all out there doing the same thing. Coaches are out there doing the same thing. The overplayed players are all out there doing the same thing, throwing games. You know. And casual fans don't get it because they're not athletes. They're like, how can a man do that? Well, because they're skilled. You know. These NHL players, you could, you know, put a checker in all right 4 corners of the goal, and then you could probably have these guys shoot 4 shots, and they'd not hit the checker in all 4 corners. They're pros. They play hockey for a living. They throw balls for a living. And then when the bright lights are on and they're making the $1 million per game, they're purposely dropping the gimme balls to change the outcome. With their sticky gloves that a 12-year-old would never drop. I mean, come on. So, we'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. And, what's up? What's up, chat? I see Jeremy's in the chat. Jeremy should be a moderator. Jeremy's a longtime veteran. I think Jeremy's story is he came across this work the year of Super Bowl 50, and he won a pretty penny, and he's been a supporter and spreader of the message ever since. Playboy's a high roller. He likes to bet big. But that Tiger Woods riddle was something else, so. No, I don't plan on staying on very much. Here's another person I can trust as a moderator. I forgot to make some people moderators. Did I hit the right button? I thought I made moderator. Hold on, did I do that right? Oh yeah, there it works. Yeah, I don't trust Google at all. I recommend people use Google Chrome when they use my Patreon page, just because Patreon seems to work best on Google Chrome. But yeah, I don't like to use Google products. I do use Google Chrome because it works best with my blog, which I'm on all the time. So, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of the company, obviously. So, caller.
Hey Zach, I was gonna ask you for tomorrow. You don't have to, but it's additional. Like who looks good for you as far as MVP? Just if you would kind of glance at that.
You're talking about for the NBA season?
No, the MVP for the World Series, Zach.
Oh, MVP for the World Series. I got to think about that. I last year the MVP had the number in his name that was the number of the World Series. I'd look and see what players got the 115 connection. Birth numerology or name gematria?
Yeah, I'm going to look this up, definitely. But also, using the information that you give out daily, I did like a fantasy decode of the players today on the Jets team, and nobody was giving me anything kind of like outrageous, so I bet on the Jets not to score any touchdowns. For anybody who was listening, you could do like daily decodes on Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, and that sometimes can give you a determination on certain outcomes, especially with the points.
Right.
So,
yeah.
You know,
what did that prop
Sam
bet pay? What did that prop bet pay for no points?
Well, not for no points. I just bet that they wouldn't score any touchdowns, and that paid plus 450, so 4.5 to 1.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
If I would have bet they didn't score no points, it would have probably been outrageous. Over 15 to 1, probably.
Nice, man. Well, good work. Keep it up, man.
Yeah, I will. Thank you, Tucker.
Right. Yeah,
and I'll call you tomorrow to tell you what I got on that MVP, too.
Sounds good, man. All right, take care. And then that's the nice thing about the Patreon page, too. There's good members of the community that call in and, and share what they find and their observations. And eventually in time, when enough people are signed up, we'll hire the team of people. We'll have a spot. We'll meet in person. Synergy. It'll get even better. So, all right, we'll leave it there, you guys. I got to get up early tomorrow. It's past my bedtime. Until next time, True Seeker.